everybody, I'm Mr. Greg from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord, and I'm here with Cynthia from Alive Studios.
Hey everybody, yes, I'm Cynthia, CEO and Chief Zookeeper of Alive Studios.
So today we're going to walk you through the new Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp Edition from Alive Studios. So Cynthia is going to tell you what's included in Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp.
Right, so you've got Letters Alive, which is our cool, you got the software and all the cards, but what comes with the new Letters Alive Zookeeper Edition is the new Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp and the new Animal Week lesson plans. Now we're going to focus more on the ABC Bootcamp and how to use that today, and this is another instructional video. But you also get a Zookeeper printed teacher field guide, which Greg's holding up. So Greg, how would you use that maybe in the classroom?
So in the classroom, this really just kind of gives you a broad overview of every day and what happens throughout the 26 days of ABC Bootcamp. So really you're using it as a reference guide and helping you as you plan your lessons and write lesson plans for Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp.
Yeah. And also you get an alphabet poster with our animals that you can hang in the classroom. And on the other side is the Alive Studios Zoo poster. That's a prototype, so you won't have them glued together. You'll get two individual posters, but this poster has the 7 animal habitats, and you can visit our animals in their individual habitats throughout the remainder of the year. And I think that's it.
All right. So now what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is I'm going to walk you through ABC Bootcamp, how it's used in the classroom, what it looks like, what it sounds like. So before we jump into that, I do want to give you a little bit of the research on why ABC Bootcamp works and why it's so beneficial in your classroom. So we did a blind study of 216 classrooms across all demographics across the country with an average of 19 students per class. Here's the pre-bootcamp data. So you're looking at about 5 letters, both uppercase and lowercase letters, and about 3 sounds. After 26 days of ABC Bootcamp, this is the data that came out. So you've jumped from 5 letters to about 15 or 16 letters, and you've jumped from 3 sounds to 15 sounds in just 26 days with ABC Bootcamp. That's an 80% growth in just 26 days. So that's the why behind ABC Bootcamp, because it works, it's working in all classrooms, it benefits all students. And so this is data from my classroom. 95% of my students are EL students. Most of my students enter the classroom speaking little to no English. At the end of ABC Bootcamp, at the end of 26 days, 95% of my students mastered all 26 letters and sounds. And by December, we had 100% mastery. At the end of kindergarten, we had 95% of my students reading at grade level or higher. So we know ABC Bootcamp works. We've got the data to support ABC Bootcamp, but it's also important to know that ABC Bootcamp is research-based. And ABC Bootcamp was built on the law of 10 to 20 for memory sets, which basically tells us that the optimal review cycle for something we want our students to learn is 10 to 20% of the time that you want students to remember the items in that set. So if we're thinking about a school year being an average of 180 days, 10 to 20% of 180 works out to 18 to 37 days. 26 days falls right in the middle of that 18 to 37 day range. That means that ABC Bootcamp is the optimal way to learn letters and sounds in the classroom. So the way Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp works is 1 letter and 1 sound a day for 26 days. And we're talking 26 days at the beginning of the school year. It's designed to be a very immersive, engaging experience for the first 26 days of school, where the students are using letters, sounds, they're using technology, they're using art, fine motor skills, encompassing the entire curriculum in those first 26 days to learn letters and sounds. So following ABC Bootcamp, in order to keep that learning fresh, to keep the students with that solid foundation of letters and sounds, and to really keep them fluent in letters and sounds, we do a daily alphabet review. This happens every single day. It's very quick, very fast. You're going to use your alphabet chart, and the way it works is that you're going to say the letter, the picture, the sound. So you would say A, alligator, A. And you would do that for all 26 letters. Again, it's about a 1 to 2 minute process. It's very quick. It's a daily review. And that, again, is just to keep that learning fresh. And so you're helping students who maybe didn't master all 26 letters. They're getting that daily exposure. And for the students who did master all 26 letters and sounds, they're getting to keep that fresh and stay fluent with their letters and sounds. So here's what ABC Boot Camp looks like in my classroom. So we actually start with the morning message. In the morning message, they're going to do some letter writing. They're actually going to write the letter of the day. Then we're going to sing some alphabet songs. Then we're going to do the alphabet chart. Then we're going to do the circle chart, which is the main part of ABC Boot Camp. Then we're going to use the Letters Alive technology to introduce the animals. Then we're going to work on explicit letter formation. We're going to make our hats. And then we're going to do some small group work and centers. So the first part of boot camp in the classroom is the morning message. And this is really just an informal assessment to see, do the kids know the letter and can they write the letter? And so you're really just getting a very brief piece of data that says, oh yeah, they can write the uppercase and lowercase letter, or they can't. And so you can see the students there, everyone comes up quickly, they write the uppercase and lowercase letter. And so you're already starting the day with them seeing that letter. You've read the letter and the sound in the morning message. So it's just kind of that early introduction and the first part of the day. With ABC Boot Camp, Zookeeper ABC Boot Camp, the idea behind it is that you're learning the letters and sounds in context. And this is important because you're attaching the sound to the letters and you're attaching those to words. And so it's really keeping it in context. You're not learning the letters and sounds in isolation. So we introduce the sound first, not the letter. And so I might say something like, today we're going to learn the sound ah. And so we're introducing the sound first, because that's really where the focus is. Because if we want our kids to read and write, the focus is on the sound. Then we say, how do you spell ah? So we learn the sound first, then the letter name is how we learn to spell the sound. And the reason we do that is because it makes an easier transition to the writing. And so the students understand that if we're spelling a sound, we're writing the letter. And so that's why we do the sound first, and then that's why we say, how do you spell ah? Then we're going to learn the letter name. And then of course, it's lots of repetition. What sound? What letter? What sound? What letter? And again, we know that the more repetitions for our students, the more they're going to retain the information. So the main focus of Zookeeper ABC Boot Camp are the circle charts or the circle map. So the idea behind this is that it's engaging, it's personal, it's fun. And so the way it works is you've introduced the sound, you've practiced the sound, you've practiced how to spell the sound so the students know the sound and the letter. So then the students are going to come up with words for the circle map. This is the key part of this activity, is that the students are generating the words. Number one, it helps you to see if they're getting it, if they're able to identify the beginning sound. But because they're coming up with the words, it becomes a very personal learning experience for them. So they're hooked, they're engaged, they're going to retain more, they're going to be more involved, and they're going to have a whole lot of fun. And we know the more fun we have, the more we learn. So the kids will come up with the words. So let's say somebody comes up with hamburger. And I'll say, what word? Everybody would say hamburger. And then I'm going to say, what sound? Hopefully the students will say, they'll identify that beginning sound. And then again, I would say, what sound? What sound? Again, there's the repetition that we've talked about. So then I'm going to say, how do we spell? So that kids, hopefully again, would identify H as the letter. So I'm going to write the H. Notice I didn't write the H until they identified the letter. So we've identified the word, we've identified the sound, we've identified the letter, now I'm writing the letter. Then I'm going to spell the rest of the word for them. This is not invented spelling, this is just spelling the word correctly because we're only focused on that beginning sound. And so I would say A, M, B, U, R, G, E, R. Then I'm going to say, what word? Hamburger. What sound? What sound? What letter? Again, you're just that repetition. You're just repeating those letters and sounds over and over again. Here's the best part. You have to draw the picture. And this is also very important because the kids love when we draw the pictures. You can look at my circle chart and you can see I am not an artist. That's half the fun because the kids love to see you draw. They love when you're like, I'm like, ooh, that's a pretty good hamburger. So they love that piece because it's personal. Number one, they came up with the word hamburger. You drew their word. So that's very exciting for them. Number two, it's silly and fun. And we know that silliness, that fun, is what hooks our kids and what helps them learn more. So it's very important that you draw the pictures. Sure, you could use clip art. Sure, you could print pictures off the internet. That's fine. But by drawing the pictures, you really engage them more. You really increase that excitement, that engagement, which increases the learning. And so don't worry about how the pictures look. Laugh at yourself. The kids are going to laugh at your drawings. That's okay. So the kids are going to come up with the words. You identify the beginning sound. How do we spell the sound? That's when they identify the letter. You write the letter. You draw the picture. You identify the letter and sound again and again and again, and then you spell the word. And then what we do when we're finished, when we filled up our circle map, or when I feel like we're done, we'll go back quickly and read all of the words, and after every word we identify the sound. So we would say hamburger, hello, hot, and again, just more repetition of the letters and sounds. So here's what the circle maps look like for Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp. And so they have a fun jaguar print, and so this would be the letter in the middle of your circle chart. And so then you've got that fun Zookeeper vibe going with Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp. After we do the circle chart, then we introduce the animal. And so with Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp, it's really themed with all 26 animals from Alive Studios. And so every day we get to meet one of the animals. And so we're going to be introducing the animals using the augmented reality technology. So the way I use it in my classroom is I say, okay, what sound did we learn today? What sound, what letter? Again, repeating that sound and letter. Then I have the kids predict what animal they think it might be. The reason we do that is, number one, again, you're getting a piece of data to see if they can make that beginning sound connection to an animal. But the act of predicting is really engaging for our kids. And by getting them to make predictions, we increase their engagement, which increases their learning. And then, of course, we're going to put the letter card on the mat. The animal is going to come to life in 3D. The kids are going to squeal and scream with delight. Then we're going to say, what animal, what sound, what letter. Again, we're just going to repeat those letters and sounds. Then we're, of course, going to build the interactive sentences with the animal. So now we're also bringing in some reading fluency, and we're gonna listen to the technology read the sentence, then the kids are gonna read the sentence. And so that's how we use the Letters Alive portion of Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp. Again, just lots and lots of repetition of the sounds and the letters. Following that, we're going to do some explicit letter formation or handwriting. And so this part of Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp is a very explicit, modeled instruction of letter writing. And so I'm going to be in front of the class. I'm going to explicitly model how to form the letters, the uppercase and lowercase letters. While we're doing this, I'm going to say, what letter, what sound? Just more repetition while I'm explicitly modeling how to do the letter writing. And then the students will go off with their practice pages and do it independently. While they're working independently on their handwriting, I'm walking around the classroom, monitoring them, helping the ones who need help. And again, asking them, what letter are you writing? Oh, what sound? So just more repetition. Included, you have your choice of manuscript or Danielian style handwriting, so you have those two to choose from. One of the favorite parts of Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp are the hats. And with Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp, you're getting 26 animal hats. You're actually getting 52 of them because there are two versions for each letter. There's a simple version that's just the animal. Then there's another version that's the animal and the habitat. With the animal and the habitat, it requires a little bit of assembly because you're going to cut out the animal and the habitat and put them on a sentence strip. So that one's a little more of a challenge. The animal is simply coloring the animal, cutting it out, and making the hat. So the hats are, again, reinforcing the sounds and the letters. They're great fine motor practice. So think about 26 days of dedicated fine motor skills work. By the end of 26 days, your kids are going to be great at cutting. It makes a great school-home connection because the kids wear the hats home, their families will talk to them about their hats. That also happens in the school building. As they wear their hats around the building, other adults are asking about the hats. So they're basically practicing those letters and sounds all day, everywhere they go. The hats are fun, they're silly, they're very engaging, the kids love them, and like we said, they are differentiated, so you do have those two choices. For small groups, we do have a couple of options that we can use in small groups. So the first thing we have is our student ABC book. And so this is just a student version of the circle maps. So the kids would have their own little book, and it's got the 26 circle charts in there. And so it really allows you for targeted practice and reinforcement. So I would use these in small groups. I would call my students back to my table and say, okay, today we're going to work on the sound B. What sound? B. And then I'm going to say, what words start with B? So really what I'm hoping is they can come up with words on their own, but if not, they can refer back to the circle chart that we did as a whole group. And so for my kids who need reinforcement, we're just focused on that beginning sound. And so they would say ball, we would draw the ball and write the B. Because again, for them, it's just reinforcement, more targeted practice of the sound and the letter. For students who need some enrichment, a little bit of a challenge, when they come up with the word ball, I would challenge them to write the whole word using their letters and sounds. So that's how we use the circle chart books in small groups and how we use them to really target our students and meet the needs of all of our students. Also included with Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp are letter books and predictable readers, sometimes known as decodable readers or decodable books. These books are differentiated, so there are 2 levels. And what these books allow us to do with our kids is they allow us to practice the skills in context. So what's happening is that we're learning the sound, we're learning the letter, and then we can use the books to see words with the letter and sound, and then we can also see those words in sentences. And so that's where the differentiation comes in. You can see that some of the books are just one-word readers. The other books have predictable sentences. And so what you're doing is you're now practicing that skill in print, in text, in a book. So the thing to remember about these decodable books, letter books, or predictable readers is that they're not always meant for every student. They're really meant to be for targeted practice for students who need a little extra help, a little more practice or support as they work through the letter and sound. So they're great for small groups, they're great for differentiation, and they're great for supporting students who need a little bit more practice with the letter and sound that you're working on. They can also be sent home for practice. They make great, you can make extra copies to go in their book bags or book boxes to keep in the classroom. So these decodable readers, predictable books, lettered books, really are very adaptable and have lots of great uses in the classroom. But their main use again is small group instruction, targeting students who need extra support and extra practice with the letters and sounds. Another option that you can get to use in your small group would be the My Letters Alive journals. These are not included in Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp, but they are an option that you can add later. And so the letters, it's a 2-page spread for each letter. There's some augmented reality built in. You use the app, you scan the letter bug, the animal comes to life in 3D on your device, and then you're going to write the letter, you're going to read a sentence, and you're going to do some beginning sound activities for each of those letters and sounds. So that's just another option that you have if you want to add that in to use in your small groups. Also included in Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp are literacy centers. And these work not only as literacy centers, but they'll also work as a small group tool. So you can actually use these in your small groups as well. And so you can use them as a small group game or activity to practice letters and sounds. The centers are differentiated. They come with recording sheets, so the students are accountable for their learning. All of the centers are blackline, which means that they're easy prep and they're very ink friendly, so they're not going to use up all of your ink. And so again, these will be used in our literacy centers. And so, you know, the students might be working on uppercase and lowercase letters. They might be working on beginning sounds. And so they might just be doing a simple letter match where they pick a letter card and they color that letter on their recording sheet. And so again, lots of different ways to use these. And again, it's independent practice, lots of repetition, just more exposures to the letters and sounds. At the end of Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp, you have to celebrate because you've spent 26 days immersed in all of these letters and sounds, and you've met these crazy animals, and so now it's time to celebrate. So we're going to celebrate with a fashion show. And so this happens at the end of ABC Bootcamp. What we do is every kid gets a vest. On the vest they have a letter. Those go home, and at home they decorate the vest with pictures for their letter and sound. Then when they come back to school, they wear their vest and we walk the runway. So this is a great home-school connection, a great way to bridge that connection with home very early in the year. The way it works is we have the vest come home or come back to school 3 days before the fashion show. That allows us to help anybody who didn't get to finish their vest, or if they had trouble finding pictures, we're able to help them get it finished at school so everyone can participate in the fashion show. And so we put down the red carpet, we play I Like to Move It from Madagascar, the kids wear their vest and they get to work the runway, model their vest, and again, it's a great way, you're repeating those letters and sounds, but it's also a whole lot of fun and it's a great celebration to end your 26 days of Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp. They're also going to get a certificate at the end as well. So that's how we use Zookeeper ABC Bootcamp in the classroom. For more information, you can head to alivestudiozoo.com to check it out. Thank you guys.